All right, breaking news. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is actually right here in New York City at this hour where ICE raids are underway with a dangerous suspect already taken off the streets.
Griff Jenkins has the breaking details on the sanctuary, the operation in this sanctuary city right here in New York. Griff.
Good morning, guys. The crackdown in the Big Apple is underway, expected to last all week long. The cartels are undoubtedly starting to feel the heat of the new Trump administration. In fact, we're just learning moments ago, and we can take a look again at Kristi Noem, Secretary Noem's video you see here in New York City, that from overnight, making lots of arrests. Noem adding to her tweet about this, saying, quote, "Dirt bags like this will continue to be removed from our streets," but we're learning that already they have rescued a Dominican national with an Interpol red notice that he is wanted for a double homicide in his country. We'll continue to see more of these sort of things. Now, this comes after ICE already elsewhere outside of New York have made nearly 1,200 arrests and lodged another 850 ICE detainers. And it comes as the numbers at the border are plummeting. Border Patrol sources telling Fox they've encountered 582 illegal crossings on Sunday. That number is unbelievable. Not a single sector recorded over 200. That's something neither Bill Maloosia nor I have ever seen happen in over a decade of covering the border. And it's a stark contrast from the 1,200 to 1,400 daily encounters in Biden's last week in office. And it's a far cry from Biden's record numbers in 2023. You will recall, topped 11,000. I remember being in Eagle Pass when we saw more than 3,000 in a single day. Now it's closer to 60. And the DEA also stepping up. Out in Denver, agents seizing 130,000 fentanyl pills while arresting 2 illegal migrants with ties to the Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels. Now, Congressman Tom Emmer had this to say to you guys earlier. Listen.
People want to be safe and secure in their communities. They are moving swiftly and quickly and very straightforward on removing all these rapists, murderers, gang members that have come across our southern border. Frankly, I wish they'd be doing it in my home state of Minnesota. Let's get these bad actors out of our country.
And later today, what we're watching, guys, Secretary Noem is set to address her DHS staff for the first time and deliver her vision for the agency. So she was in New York. She'll be back here in Washington. And I suspect she'll have a clear message for the cartels that business as usual is over now for them. Guys?
She's letting them do the job.
Hey, Griff, you've never seen anything like this before?
No. I have been covering the border for more than a decade, and to have such a swift crackdown to bring the numbers to so low, it's really something that I've never seen, and am quite surprised they were able to get those numbers that low. That's why you saw that video that Texas DPS Lieutenant Oliveras put of the gunfire being captured. Fortunately, no one hurt, but cartels firing on Border Patrol agents on Fronton Island, Brian. That's known as Cartel Island. It's a little island that sat in the Rio Grande River that the agents were always combating against the cartels because they used it as sort of a basing operations for smuggling. But yet last year, Texas took the island back over, cleared it, and tried to take a hold. But the cartels, what you're seeing with this gunfire is desperation, Brian, because the cartels realize how fast and how swift the Trump crackdown has been. An agent there in RGV yesterday texting with me saying, sadly, they fear they may see a little bit more of this sort of aggression by the cartels because they realize just how swift and harsh this crackdown is, and they don't want that. That's bad for business.
So, thanks.
Go ahead. Well, if we look at we're looking at these pictures in New York with the Secretary of Homeland Security out there with U.S. Marshals, you got FBI there that are on the ground.
DEA.
You also got DEA, U.S. Marshals, and then you also have a DOJ representative to handle the legal process to make sure they got the right persons. But back to the cartel as well. They're losing money. When people don't cross the border, they're not getting that $20,000 to $30,000 a pop. That also hurts their drug enterprise as well, right, Griff?
They are losing millions a day. And Lawrence, you raised a really important point that I think you're going to start hearing from Secretary Noem and others, when you were talking about the DEA, ICE, BP, that's what they say when we heard from the Biden administration, the quote, whole of government approach. Well, it didn't work under the last administration, but a whole of government approach is all assets, all law enforcement agencies going out there, in this case, with Secretary Noem, boots on the ground as well. And we saw Tom Homan, boots on the ground as well. This is what a full force effort looks like.
Yeah, and Griff, we don't know whether or not the Department of Homeland Security gave the city of New York, which is a sanctuary city, a heads up. But we do know that Tom Homan met with the mayor here a couple of weeks ago. But what's interesting is those images of Kristi Noem, and they're circulating right now on X. Images like that. And also the images we've seen over the last week or so where people are on those deportation flights back to their country of origin or wherever they go. That is going to have a chilling impact on the number of people who are still willing to have the cartels try to get them across the border because they realize, wait a minute, it's no longer Joe Biden in charge. There's a new sheriff literally in town, and maybe we shouldn't go.
That's exactly right, Steve. At the end of the day, for decades, the story of the border has been one of push and pull factors. The pull factors were a lax border security in the last administration, so cartels knew they had free roam to operate. Those photos of Secretary Noem have one special intended recipient, and that is the Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels down in Mexico, to know that it's not going to be the same, and everyone will be on the ground, full force, trying to stop it.
Right. They might as well get out of the cartel business.
Yep.
Thanks so much, Griff.
Thank you, Griff.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.